Hey, how you doing? So before I start, just excuse my duckweed pond. My duckweed tank, I'm still feeding my pond fish with duckweed on the warmer days of winter, and so I need my duckweed. So please just wait until I redo my tank when the spring comes, okay? So today we are going to look at some of the similarities between horses. Yes, you heard me right. Horses and cories. We're going to look at those because sometimes I think beginners have, and even us who are a little bit more experienced, have a lot of trouble with cories. So I think the tips that you will get in this video will help you quite a bit. So over the last few months, I have been watching horsey people on YouTube, horse rescuers and homestead horse people. And, within the last couple of weeks, I just noticed that, hey, some of the things that they say really does apply to cories. And I think I could use some of these ideas with my cories. So one of the first things I noticed is that horses are herd animals and cories are herd animals as well. Yeah. So, some people try to keep a single horse. They usually end up with problems with the horse, health problems, behavior problems, or mental problems, emotional problems with the horse, and then they have to give up the horse because they don't know how to retrain the horse. So when the horse is by itself, it's just never going to be happy. And that's the same thing with cories. In fact, for cories, the herd thing, or school, we call them, right? The herd or school idea is even more important for cories. I have 6, and I think I'm still having, because of that, I think I'm having trouble with my cories. And the trouble is that they are healthy and everything, but they're very skittish at the same time. So I can sit here and watch them, but I have to sit very still. If I make the slightest move, they are going to scutter away and go and hide until they think it's safe to come out again. So when you have cories, they tell you to get 6. I got 6, and I think I'm still having trouble with them. They need to be in bigger groups. So when you have a small tank, I really don't think you should try to keep cories in a small tank. If you have a big tank and you keep, like 10, 12, 15 more even, whatever you can, comfortably hold in your tank, that's the kind of group that they feel comfortable in. And this is because it's the same with horses. Horses are prey animals, so predators will come after them. Same with cories. They don't feel safe unless they're in a big group because they think that they can better protect themselves against the dangers out there. So this is why when you have just a small group of cories, you sometimes have trouble with them. Sometimes you have health problems. Sometimes emotional problems, sometimes behavioral problems like I'm having. It's not a real problem, but to have fish that are skittish just goes against my grain of having a perfectly healthy fish in my tank. Okay, the problem is mine, I suppose. I want my fish to be perfectly healthy in mind and body. So this is why I think having only 6 it's acceptable maybe, but not really good. So when the weather gets a little bit warmer, because I don't like to bring home my fish in the cold weather, right? So when the weather gets a little bit warmer, I'm going to get more cories for this tank so that they can be a nice big herd and feel safe and comfy. Now, the other thing that horsey people talk about is pastures. So this has to do with feeding, right? Horses are pasture animals. They're grazing animals. They have to have food at all times, day and night. This is the same with cories. I know I feed my cories once a day. That's not a good thing. But who has time? Especially some of you guys that are younger than me and you're still working. How could you possibly feed your cories 3 to 5 times a day? It just won't work for you, right? I'm retired and I still find it difficult to feed them even twice a day. But the best thing to do for them is to make sure that your tank is producing food constantly, so that they have a constant source of food, and then you just give them a little bit extra if you have to. And I'm going to make another video about how to know how much to feed your cories. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm going to make another video about how much to feed cories. If you think that your tank can't support this larger group of cories, most tanks can't produce enough food to feed a group of cories. So you have to feed them extra. But you can get your tank to produce some food. So your tank is going to produce micro critters. You can do something to your tank to make micro critters grow and develop and multiply faster than they normally would. And that is to have a layer of botanicals on top of your sand. So you know you have your 1 inch of mud, there are 2 inches of sand, and then on top of that you can have a little layer, about 1 inch or so of leaf litter. If you want to buy some pretty pods from one of those companies that sells stuff, magnolia leaves and all those different, botanicals, those are all good for cories. Those things, not only do they release antioxidants and antimicrobials into the water to make your fish healthier, but they also increase the living space of all those microorganisms that will feed your cories while you're at work. So it's very important for cory cats to have that leaf litter, and they really enjoy, going through the leaf litter and looking for stuff to eat, biofilm and whatever else there is to eat there. So that's one of the things I found in the past when I've had trouble with cories. Now that I'm looking back, I'm quite sure that many times my cories would die from hunger. So this is something that we have to really take care of, okay? When you buy an animal, you don't want to be treating it in a cruel way. There's a lot of people out there that would love to stop us from keeping fish in the first place. So let's do our best to keep our animals healthy, okay? And not have anybody having any excuse to say that we're cruel to animals. So when you have cories, make sure that you're feeding them enough. Make sure they have that leaf litter and pods and alder cones and whatever else you can find to put in your tank. And that will give safety. It will give an environment for your micro critters to grow, and then your cories can go hunt them down. Okay, so next time I will go into how much to feed your cories extra. And yeah, so we'll just end off here today. Okay? Thank you to all the people who have commented this week. Thank you for keeping up with me, although I was off for 2 months. You just came back and started watching my videos again. Thank you so much for loyalty, and thank you for your encouraging words. See you next time. Bye.